Ahmose, and the expulsion of the Hyksos. Ahmose I, the founder of the 18th dynasty in ancient Egypt, is one of the most celebrated pharaohs in Egyptian history. His reign marked the end of the Second Intermediate Period and the beginning of the New Kingdom. The most significant event of his reign was the expulsion of the Hyksos, a foreign people who had ruled over Egypt for more than a century. The story of Ahmose, as courage and determination in driving out the Hyksos, is both thrilling and monumental, as it set the stage for Egypt's imperial power during the New Kingdom. The Hyksos invasion. The Hyksos were a group of Asiatic people who came from regions to the east of Egypt, possibly from the area of Canaan, or modern-day Syria and Palestine. Around the 17th century BCE, the Hyksos took advantage of Egypt's weakened state and began to infiltrate the Nile Delta, eventually seizing control of large parts of northern Egypt. For over a century, the Hyksos ruled as kings in the northern part of Egypt, establishing their capital at Avaris, modern-day Tel Aviv. They adopted many aspects of Egyptian culture, but they were still viewed by the native Egyptians as foreign invaders. The Hyksos were known for their military innovations, including the use of horse-drawn chariots and superior weaponry, such as bronze swords and composite bows, which gave them a significant advantage over the native Egyptian forces. Despite the Hyksos dominance, Egypt's southern kingdom remained independent. The native Egyptians in Thebes, in Upper Egypt, resented the foreign rulers and longed for liberation. The rise of Ahmose. Ahmose was born into a royal family in Thebes. His father, Seqenental, was the pharaoh of Upper Egypt during the Hyksos occupation. Seqenental, known for his bravery, led a campaign to resist the Hyksos, but he was killed in battle. His death left the throne to his son, Ahmose, who was still a young man. Ahmose, who had grown up hearing stories of his father's courage and the oppression of the Hyksos, was determined to continue hhis father's work and expel the foreign invaders once and for all. His reign would mark the beginning of a new era for Egypt, Ahmose's War against the Hyksos. When Ahmose became pharaoh around 1550 BC, he was faced with the challenge of uniting Egypt and launching a military campaign to reclaim the northern part of the country. The Hyksos still controlled much of the Nile Delta and had fortified their stronghold at Avaris. Ahmose's first challenge was to secure Upper Egypt, ensuring that the southern part of the country remained under Egyptian control. Once his position was secure, he began to prepare for war against the Hyksos. This required building a powerful army, which was a difficult task because the Hyksos had controlled Egypt for so long that their influence had spread even among the Egyptians. Ahmose enlisted a large number of soldiers, including chariot drivers, infantry, and archers. The Egyptians were also assisted by their allies from the Nubian and Syrian regions, who shared the common goal of expelling the foreign rulers. Ahmose's army was well equipped, and he began to train his forces in military tactics. The siege of Avaris, Ahmose's first major military action against the Hyksos, was the siege of Avaris, their heavily fortified capital. The city was surrounded by a large wall, and the Hyksos were well prepared for a long siege. Ahmose knew that it would not be easy to break the defenses, but he was determined to liberate Egypt. The siege lasted for several months. Ahmose used his superior tactics to wear down the Hyksos. He cut off their supply routes and created a blockade around the city. Meanwhile, he constantly launched raids on Hyksos positions, taking advantage of their weaker defenses in the surrounding areas. Eventually, Ahmose's forces began to break through the defenses. With no way to escape or receive reinforcements, the Hyksos were forced to surrender. Avaris fell, and Ahmose captured the city, dealing a major blow to the Hyksos. The final battle. Expulsion of the Hyksos. Despite their loss of Avaris, the Hyksos still had control over other parts of northern Egypt. Ahmose knew that to fully expel them from the land, he would have to confront them in a final battle. The last stand of the Hyksos took place at the Battle of Sharuin, a fortified city in the southern part of Canaan, modern-day Palestine. The Hyksos attempted to retreat to the city, hoping to escape the Egyptian forces and regroup. Ahmose, however, was relentless. He pursued the Hyksos to Sharuin and laid siege to their final stronghold. The siege of Sharuan lasted for months, but eventually, Ahmose's forces broke through. The Hyksos were once again defeated. The survivors were either killed or forced to flee, and the last of the Hyksos were expelled from Egypt. With this victory, Egypt was once again united under native Egyptian rule, and the Hyksos no longer had any power in the land of the pharaohs. Ahmose's triumph and the beginning of the new kingdom. Ahmose's victory over the Hyksos was not only a military triumph, it was a symbolic victory for Egypt. The expulsion of the Hyksos marked the end of the second intermediate period and the beginning of the new kingdom, a time of prosperity and power for Egypt. Ahmose was hailed as a hero and a liberator, and his reign became a new dawn for Egypt. After his victory, Ahmose turned his attention to rebuilding Egypt's economy and fortifying its borders. His military victories laid the foundation for the new kingdom, during which Egypt would become one of the most powerful and influential civilizations in the ancient world. Legacy of Ahmose. Ahmose's victory over the Hyksos was a defining moment in Egyptian history. It ended a period of foreign domination and set the stage for Egypt's rise as an imperial power. Under Ahmose and his successors, Egypt expanded its territory, conquered new lands, and built some of its greatest monuments. The new kingdom was a time of military strength, cultural flourishing, and religious development. Ahmose is remembered as the pharaoh who reunited Egypt and laid the foundation for its greatest period of prosperity. In addition to his military achievements, Ahmose's reign is also credited with the establishment of Egypt's dynastic stability. His successors, including famous pharaohs such as Amenhotep II and Ramses II, would carry on his legacy, expanding Egypt's influence across the ancient world. Conclusion: Ahmose's expulsion of the Hyksos is one of the most thrilling stories in Egyptian history. His leadership, military prowess, and determination to rid Egypt of foreign rule helped to shape the future of the ancient world. By defeating the Hyksos, Ahmose not only secured Egypt's borders, but also paved the way for Egypt's golden age during the New Kingdom. His name lives on as one of Egypt's greatest pharaohs, remembered for his courage, vision, and success in restoring Egypt to its rightful glory. Would you like to know more about other pharaohs or periods in ancient Egyptian history?